We're going to start off with 5 yoga-inspired exercises on your back to awaken your posterior chain. You'll need a block and a blanket for these exercises. They're all related to the bridge, so pay careful attention to the very first instructions that I present in the bridge pose. So, lie on your back. Instead of using bridge as a back bend, really pushing it up, we're going to use it as a core stabilizer and a glute activator and a hamstring activator. So this is what I call a rolling bridge. You start with a posterior pelvic tilt. You're trying to get a little air under your tailbone, a little air under your pelvis, under your glutes, and still push your low back into the floor. That's a powerful posterior pelvic tilt right there. And then you're gonna rise up a little bit higher, maybe until you get into a straight line from the shoulders, the hips, to the knees. So straight line, shoulders, hips, knees. Still a powerful effort of posterior pelvic tilt. This I call a rolling bridge. And I just rolled right back down. To enhance the rolling bridge, place your block between your thighs. Squeeze your thighs together, flatten the back, powerful posterior pelvic tilt, still keeping that effort of posterior pelvic tilt, feeling this very much in my glutes, in my core, working the tailbone long, so to speak, and still breathing. I feel this much less in my quads than I normally would. And then lower down. Third variation. Squeeze the block, turn the toes up. So this is what I call a hamstring rolling bridge. So you're digging your heels in. You might need to walk your heels a little further than normal. Flatten your back, powerful effort of posterior pelvic tilt. Now this one is even more hamstrings than before. So strong effort of front hip points up, tailbone long. I'm using my hands to kind of show the circular motion of the pelvis, that sort of axial rotation posteriorly. Squeezing the block to work the effort of the adductors, which helps the core. And a nice long hold here will really get everything going. Okay, so set your block to the side for a moment. Bring your feet parallel to one another. And again, actually bring your feet to touch one another. And again, flatten your back. You're gonna rise up into a low bridge. Remember, this low bridge is the one that really activates the posterior chain. Squeeze the thighs together as if the block were still there. Keep the front hip points coming up, tailbone long, working the glutes. And come onto your right tiptoes, and then your left tiptoes. So alternating side to side, letting the head, neck, shoulders be relaxed. Arms aren't doing any work here. And then when you're ready, if that is a good challenge for you, so the whole point is to make sure your pelvis is not moving side to side. If your pelvis feels really steady, you can start to march. Lift one foot up, keep the pelvis both steady in height as well as steady side to side. So you don't want any rotation, you don't want any dipping. So marching is an option if you feel that you're not getting any dropping down or any rotational side to side. Otherwise, you can stick with coming onto one side of tiptoes and then the other. Remember, you still have the effort of the posterior pelvic tilt happening. And then when you're ready, when you're done with your marching, both feet down, lower right back down to the floor. Okay, we're gonna switch it up, move towards the front of the mat. Put your feet on your blanket. This only works on a smooth surface. It's not gonna work as well on carpet. So you're gonna lift up, posterior pelvic tilt, rise up, nice long flat back as far as you can make it. Squeeze the legs into the imaginary block now, and slide the heels a little bit out and a little bit in. So obviously, the further you go, the more revved up this will be. These are your hamstring curls in bridges. And let's do 3 more. 1. You don't have to do a lot of these exercises to really feel it. And then lower down. Thank God that one's over. All right, move yourself right back to the middle of your mat. And take your block, place it to the front of your mat. Place it in the medium height position. And place your heels or your calves on the block. Flatten your back, effort of posterior pelvic tilt. Try to feel, it's a little harder in this position, but try to feel your tailbone rise up before everything else. Use your imagination. And then lift up into a nice straight leg bridge. So really activating the backside, including the quads here. Glutes, core, to try to keep pulling the front of the pelvis up. Hold it for a good 10 seconds. And then lower down. Let's do another one of those. Rest for a moment. Flatten the back. Aim to get the tailbone up first. Squeeze the thighs, keep the toes pointing towards the sky. So inner thighs roll down, glutes strongly activate. I'm not trying to put a whole lot of weight into my shoulders, and definitely there's no weight in my neck. My head is relaxed, my neck is relaxed, my glutes are active. And then lower down. Last thing we can do on our backs. This is turning out to be more than 5 different variations. But flatten your back. Rise up into that same familiar bridge pose from earlier, the rolling bridge. And you can come into a single leg bridge. So what's really effective about this is when you keep the pelvis high and you work on the endurance and you work on the quality. So I'm looking for the pelvis to be level. I'm looking for a straight line, more or less, from my knees to the hip, or shoulder to hip, knee. And then a nice little endurance hold there, yeah? So you'll keep the pelvis up, work on that posterior pelvic tilt, front hip points up, tailbone long, squeeze the thighs. Really activates the glutes. And other side. So you can have your leg straight, by the way. That's kind of a hamstring thing, if you have the availability, or you can have the knee bent. You don't have to have it straight. And again, you're looking for your pelvis to stay level, so I need to lift my left side a little bit more. You're looking for that straight line from the shoulders, the hips, the knees. And a nice little hold. When you're ready to come down, foot comes down, pelvis levels, spine lowers down. So there you have it. Rolling bridges, that's the simple basis of all the other exercises. The hamstring bridge, where you squeeze the block between your thighs, you turn your toes up. The walking bridge, where you're still in the bridge pose, but you can either lift one heel, then the other. The foot floating, the marching bridge, which makes the walking bridge even harder. The hamstring curls with your feet on the blanket only works on a smooth surface. The single leg bridge and the straight leg bridge. Lots and lots of options for ways to awaken your posterior chain on your back on the yoga mat.